I wasn't even supposed to be working that shift. My partner, Reyes, had called out last minute. His daughter had a fever, so the lieutenant asked if I could cover the midnight slot. Just a few hours. Midnight to 4 a.m., I said sure. What harm could a short shift do? It was October 12th, 2022. A cold snap had just rolled through Camden County, Georgia. Streets were slick, trees rattled in the wind, and most people with any sense were inside, under blankets. Around 1:30 a.m., I got a dispatch. Report of suspicious male walking along Old Vine Road, possibly intoxicated. Caller claims he's wearing a sheriff's department jacket. That road was out by the edge of town, wooded, no sidewalks, just a 2-lane blacktop and enough shadows to lose a full-grown moose in. I acknowledged the call, clicked on my spotlight, and made my way over. About a mile down the road, I saw him. The guy was walking in the middle of the lane, head low, wearing what looked like an old deputy's jacket, tan with faded patches. He had something in his hand, dangling by his side. I pulled up slowly and rolled down the window. "Evenin', everything all right?" He didn't respond, just stopped and turned toward me. The first thing I noticed, he looked wrong. Not drunk, not high, just off. His face was pale, lips a strange bluish color, and his eyes didn't blink, not even once. His name badge was missing, but he had the old logo patch from our department, one that hadn't been issued in over 20 years. He raised his free hand and said, "I'm with the department, you can go." But there was no radio on his belt, no badge, and the jacket, up close, was torn at the sleeves, like it had been dragged through brambles. I stayed in my vehicle. "Can I see some ID?" I asked. He stepped forward, 1-2 paces. The thing in his other hand, a nightstick, wooden, with a cracked leather grip, swung loosely. "I said I'm with the department," he repeated, voice lower now. "You can go." That's when I keyed the mic on my shoulder and asked dispatch to check for any units on foot patrol in the area. The pause from dispatch was long. Then, negative, no units assigned to Old Vine Road. I looked back up. He was gone. No footsteps, no sound, just gone. I stepped out, hand on my holster, and aimed my flashlight toward the woods. Nothing. Only wind in the trees. But then I heard it, the crackle of a radio. Old school, like the analog ones from the 90s, barely audible, like it was coming from a tunnel. "Unit 47, do you copy?" My breath caught. There hasn't been a Unit 47 in our department since 1999. That's when Deputy Thomas Keene died. Car accident during a storm. His vehicle was swept off the road, right here on Old Vine. He'd been responding to a domestic disturbance with lights and sirens on when his cruiser hydroplaned and crashed into the ravine. They didn't find his body until 3 days later. I scanned the woods again, but this time I noticed something else. Across the road, just beyond the guardrail, a narrow path cut through the trees. I'd never noticed it before, not in daylight, not ever. A faint trail, muddy tire tracks, broken branches. I radioed it in. Backup was 12 minutes out. I didn't wait. I followed the trail, flashlight swinging, boots crunching leaves. 20 yards in, I found the remnants of a police cruiser, rust-eaten, moss-covered, half sunk in the mud like it had been there for years. The driver's door was still open. The inside smelled like old paper and mold. The dashboard was cracked, and a broken radio handset dangled by a wire. But the logbook was still in the glove box, water-damaged but readable. The last entry? 1:28 a.m., responding to call, Vine Road. Disturbance. The date? October 12th, 1999, exactly 23 years ago. I backed away, heart hammering, suddenly aware of how silent the woods had gotten. Not even the wind moved. That's when I saw him again, standing just behind the cruiser. Same jacket, same cracked nightstick, only now his face looked wronger. Like the skin wasn't attached right, like it had sagged or melted. He raised one hand again, this time not in greeting but pointing directly at me. "Still on duty," he said. I turned and ran, tripped once, got up, didn't stop. I burst back onto the road just as Officer Kendall pulled up behind my cruiser. I waved her down, panting, pointing to the woods. I saw someone, something, wearing an old deputy's jacket, said he was on duty. Kendall went pale. She reached into her coat pocket and pulled out a small laminated photo. "You mean this guy?" I stared at the photo. Same face, younger, smiling. It was Thomas Keene. I filed my report that night. The department chalked it up to stress, sleep deprivation, maybe a prankster in a vintage jacket. But here's the thing. 2 nights later, another unit driving that same stretch swerved to avoid a figure in the road, said he was holding a baton, pointing at them. Their dashcam shorted out at the exact moment of the swerve. They totaled the cruiser. Both officers walked away, but they won't drive that road anymore. Me, I transferred to another district, a little quieter, fewer trees. But every October 12th, I keep my radio off after midnight, because some part of me believes Keen never stopped responding to that call. And some nights, he still needs backup. People think the scariest part of police work is staring down the barrel of a gun. It's not. It's the silence. The kind that follows a scream on the 911 line, or worse, when the line just goes dead. I was a detective in missing persons back then. Summer of 2018. Hot, muggy, Georgia heat thick as syrup. I'd been working for 9 years already, and I thought I'd seen enough to have a grip on reality. Then came Case 312A. A teenage girl, Ariana Fields, vanished from a neighborhood cookout in Brantley County. Last seen around 8:45 p.m., just before sundown. Her flip-flops were left by the pool. Her phone still plugged into a charger inside the house. No forced entry, no witnesses. Backyard backed up into woods, just gone. We started the search that night. Local deputies, K9s, volunteers, drones, nothing. By the 3rd day, the case went cold. No ransom demand, no trace, no answers. I stayed on it. I don't know why. There was something in her parents' eyes that stuck with me, like they'd already accepted they'd never see her again, but couldn't let go of the ritual of hope. I walked the woods behind their property every day for a week, and then I found something. A baby blue scrunchie, snagged high in a branch about 7 feet up. Same color her mother swore she wore that night. I bagged it, tagged it, logged it, but it went missing from evidence within 48 hours. I asked the tech, he swore it was never checked in. Security footage? Corrupted. I should have let it go, but something about that missing scrunchie wouldn't leave me alone. It felt like a loose thread I had to follow. So one night, around 1 a.m., I went back to the property, alone. The Fields family had moved by then, too much grief in the walls. I brought my flashlight, service weapon, and a thermoscope just in case. The backyard was overgrown, weeds had overtaken the patio. The wind was dead still. I stepped into the tree line. About 30 yards in, I found an old shed I'd never noticed before, mostly collapsed. Roof sunken, door hanging open. Inside, it smelled like mildew and rust. But here's the part that still wakes me up at night. On the wall inside, scratched deep into the plywood, were words, "He takes the quiet ones." Underneath it, no spray paint, no marker, just scratches again as if done by fingernails or a dull key. "Still here!" I radioed it in. Dispatch acknowledged. But 3 minutes later, my radio hissed loud in my ear and then died completely. Full battery, brand new unit, nothing but static. And then the woods went quiet. No crickets, no owls, no wind, just nothing. I stepped back out of the shed, flashlight sweeping the dark, and that's when I saw her. A girl, maybe 16, barefoot and pale, standing about 10 feet away between 2 pine trunks, wearing a light summer dress, face blank, like someone had erased her expression completely. I raised my light, called out, "Ariana?" She didn't answer, didn't blink, just lifted one arm and pointed deeper into the woods. I should have called for backup, should have waited, but something about her felt suspended, like she wasn't really there, like she was showing me something. So I followed. She didn't walk, she just kept appearing, closer each time I turned a corner, always pointing. 10 minutes in, I hit a clearing I didn't know existed. The air smelled like wet iron. In the center stood an old well, brick-lined, covered with a rusted iron grate, chains wrapped around it, fresh. My flashlight caught something beside it, a teddy bear. Mildewed, stuffing leaking out one seam. I stepped closer, and that's when the air changed. A breeze pushed through the clearing, cold and wrong, like a breath on the back of my neck. Then came the whisper, one word, clear as a bell. "Down!" I turned fast, she was gone. The girl, the voice, everything. I ran all the way back to my cruiser. Didn't sleep that night. Next morning, I brought a full search team to that clearing. The well was real. The bear was real. We pulled the grate, lowered a camera down, nobody. Just claw marks, deep ones. Not like nails or fingers, like something had tried to crawl out. The department chalked it up to urban legends, stress-related hallucinations. They closed the case 2 months later. No leads, no further sightings, but I never forgot that whisper, that word, down. And I haven't been back to those woods since. But here's the part that no one talks about. 2 months ago, April 2025, a girl named Samantha Drury disappeared. Last seen half a mile from that same tree line. Same age, same kind of scrunchy. They say it's a coincidence. I say the well isn't empty. Not yet. I was a rookie when it happened. 6 weeks out of the academy, riding night patrol with Officer Hensley, mid-40s, ex-Marine, zero patience for bullshit. He'd been on the force 17 years and had barely said 5 full sentences to me. It was late November 2015, around 3 a.m. We were working a slow overnight shift in Jasper County. Empty highways, fog thick as smoke. You couldn't see more than a car length ahead, and the radio was dead quiet until dispatch called in a 1056. Possible suicide. Caller said they saw a woman standing on the edge of County Bridge 12. White dress, long hair, no shoes, just standing there. That bridge ran over Black Hollow Creek. No streetlights, no railings, just rusted guard beams and a 30-foot drop into black water. We responded. Took us maybe 7 minutes to get there. The fog got worse as we approached. Hensley slowed to a crawl. Then we saw her, just like they said, standing motionless on the bridge, facing the edge, barefoot, in a thin white dress that hung like a sheet, arms limp, hair soaked, feet half over the line. I reached for the mic. Hensley stopped me. Don't. I looked over. He hadn't moved his hands from the wheel. What do you mean, don't? Just watch. So I did. We stayed back, maybe 30 feet, engine idling. 2 minutes passed, then 3. She didn't move, didn't flinch. Then, without a sound, she turned toward us. Her face was pale, lips dark, eyes empty, like a screen with no signal. She stepped forward slowly, 1 foot at a time, toward the cruiser. I glanced at Hensley. His hands had tightened on the wheel. Lock your door. I did. She got closer, then stopped right outside my window. Her face was so close I could see droplets of fog on her eyelashes. She didn't blink, didn't speak, just raised one hand and knocked 3 times. Tap, tap. I reached for the door handle. Hensley grabbed my arm. Don't open it. She might need help. She's not real. I froze. What? She's not real, he repeated. If you open that door, something comes with her. I looked back. She was still there, now smiling, mouth wide, too wide, lips stretched so far her cheeks looked ready to tear. Tap, 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 this time louder, and then, without warning, she vanished. Not walked away. Vanished, like a light going out. I stared out the window, nothing but fog and blacktop. Hensley put the cruiser in reverse, backed off the bridge. We drove in silence for miles. When I finally asked, what the hell was that? He said, saw her in 03, same place, different partner. He got out, she smiled, jumped. He ran to the edge. And he didn't come back up. He lit a cigarette, hands shaking. Took a week to find his body. Smile cut into his cheeks, fingernails torn off, eyes gone. He looked straight ahead and said, she only shows up on fog nights. Same knock, same bridge, but only if you stop. Only if you stare back. I didn't sleep that day. Transferred precincts 3 months later, but I still think about her. Sometimes I hear tap, tap, tap in my dreams, and every November when the fog rolls in, I stay far away from County Bridge 12, and I never, ever knock back.